Well, good morning, everybody. We are right at 8:58, and so we started the Zoom, and people are joining now. We're also going live on Instagram. If you're in the Zoom, you are on mute, so if you're worried about us hearing embarrassing things happening in your home, don't be. We can't hear you. You're safe. If you're on Instagram, you're always on mute. Come on in. Good morning. Happy summer. Hi, guys. Hello. I'm just going to keep adding people in. We're at 8:59. We'll give it a couple more minutes. Hello, if you're joining us on Instagram, nice to see you. I'm Ryan Wieswright, principal at McAuliffe. Zoomers, lovely to see all of you. You guys look happy and well rested and not at all worried about the start of the school year. Me either. Come on in. All right. You're just joining us. We are streaming in two places. So the first one is on Zoom, and the second one is on Instagram Live. If you're on Instagram Live, you have the TV of the Zoom behind me, so that's going to be confusing, but that's the only way I can really show the presentation that we're going to be going over today. I'm Ryan, as I said, Wieswright, proud principal of McAuliffe, starting our third year. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about the reopening procedures and what we have going on and what we have planned for your kids as they transition to McAuliffe this year. I know that everybody's a little bit stressed out and overwhelmed about the start of school, as am I. There's going to be two ways for you to ask questions throughout the Zoom and throughout the Instagram. If you type it in the chat, I'm going to keep everybody on mute just to keep it simple. There's already 85 people on the Zoom call, and so unmuting would be a little hectic. And then also if you type on Instagram, I will be checking those periodically as well and just kind of responding as we go. If I miss your question for some reason or another, if we happen to be inundated with a lot of chats, you'll be able to maybe type it again. That would be cool. Everything that we do today is going to be recorded and shared later on YouTube. So if you miss anything, you'll be able to get that. I'll send that link out to our families. It's also like archived on Instagram. I don't understand how that works, but maybe your middle schooler can explain it to us. But I think it stays there for a while. So let's hope we don't say anything embarrassing, right? I have finished adding everybody to the waiting room, and I'm going to start sharing my screen on Zoom, and you'll see it Instagram on the TV behind me with our presentation for today. All right. All right, so this is our fall 2020 update to our families. Our presentation's probably like 20, 25 minutes today. As I said, don't feel like you have to memorize everything that I say because we're going to share it out later. I'll also make this presentation available. What I'll actually do is embed the stuff in this presentation that's new to the existing presentation that's on our website. So you don't have to toggle back and forth between multiple presentations because that's exhausting. It's already confusing to be a parent right now. Oh, shoot. There we go. We're still on Instagram. So this is my first slide. Stress laxing. Being so stressed that relaxing makes you more stressed because you're not working on what's making you stressed. Am I right? Next up, we've got some days I just want to reply to emails with okay and this photo. And that is true. I don't want to adult anymore. I don't even want to human. I want to goat. Just eat all day and headbutt anyone who annoys me. I would never personally do that, but this is me trying to be empathetic to our parent community. I am also a parent in the district. I have two boys who will both be attending McGaw this fall, a second grader and a TKer, and I also have a 2-year-old. So I fully understand and share with you in the stress and the uncertainty that comes with planning for going back to school. And I just wanted to tell you that we're all in it together, that my position has been and always will be that we do the best that we can for kids every day. And we are working around the clock to make sure that whatever happens for them come August 31st is the very best that we can do. So in that, we partner with you and we look for your feedback and we look for your input, and it is always welcome. You are always able to reach me with any questions or concerns, or if you would like to brainstorm or dialogue about something. We know that you are sending us your most precious asset, and we take that very seriously. So I just wanted to let you know that I don't actually want to reply to your emails with the sad girl that I showed you earlier, but it can be very overwhelming. Today, as you ask questions, I might not know all of the answers, and I'll write them down so that I can get answers to you later. There are some things that are just still unknown, but we're going to do our best to kind of educate and go through this process together. So let's talk about the schedule. As you all saw from Dr. Pulver's email last Friday, I believe, we are going to be opening in a distance learning format at our middle school and at all of our schools, but today I'm talking about McAuliffe. There's been a little bit of confusion. The waiver that Dr. Pulver has mentioned applies only to elementary schools, and that's because it's only available to elementary schools. Our secondary schools, the middle schools, and the high school are not eligible for a waiver under the current guidelines set forth by the California Department of Education. So we're not applying for a waiver at McAuliffe. We are opening in a distance learning format, and that will follow the distance learning schedule that's been published. And so that's 7 periods a day, 8 periods if your child has a 0 period, 33-minute classes with a 5-minute passing period. The minimum set forth by the state of California is 240 live minutes or minutes of synchronous instruction daily. We'll be actually doing 261 minutes for a weekly total of 1,305. Asynchronous work is work that is done outside of the synchronous learning day. So outside of that 33-minute class period with 5-minute passing periods, there may be some homework, there may be some reading. I'm going to talk about homework in a little bit and what that's going to look like in a distance learning format. But the synchronous is the 261 minutes, and that does include the passing periods. And so your child will be able to log in and be face-to-face with their teacher every day. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what that's going to look like because it's different for different class periods. But this is our schedule that we're rolling with starting August 31st. So there's a lot of schedules in the reopening plan. There's a lot of schedules everywhere. This is the one that we're following. So, commit to it. All right, we plan for distance learning by 2 governing documents. I'm not going to read this entire thing. The first one is Senate Bill 98, which stipulates that in-person instruction should be followed to the greatest extent possible, and that distance learning must satisfy strict requirements, including daily live interaction. So the plan was built around the Senate bill that speaks very specifically to having highly qualified credentialed teachers providing rigorous instruction to students that's comparable and to what they would be experiencing in class. Now, obviously, we know that we can't duplicate the in-classroom experience. That's the heartache that so many of us are feeling. But overall, we're going to do the absolute best that we can to make sure that students have a rigorous learning experience while they're at McAuliffe. Teachers are going to report on daily participation and they have to show evidence of daily online activities and daily live interaction. You don't have to worry about that as a parent. That's us and our fun work as the teachers. Sorry, I'm getting some people jumping into the waiting room. The next governing document that we look at specifically for Orange County is called the OC attestation. I don't even know if I say that right, but you're on mute, so you can't correct me. That's an industry-specific checklist that each public place, school, business, whatever it is, has to have established that's specific to your industry. So we have 5 categories. It's a worksite specific plan for our employees, relevant training for employees and students, planning individual control measures and screening for COVID-19. We implement that through thorough cleaning and disinfecting protocols, and we have to promote physical distance guidelines. And so that's all very detailed, laid out in the plan that Dr. Pulver and Mrs. Reed have rolled out over the last couple of weeks. Here at McAuliffe, we are following those guidelines to the greatest extent possible. So the OC attestation actually says to consider the separation of students by putting 6 feet between desks, partitions between the desks, markings on the classroom floors, arranging desks to minimize face-to-face contact, space the teacher and other staff desks 6 feet from where the students are, and use non-classroom space for instruction, like outdoor areas. Here at McAuliffe, we've already set that up. Ah, dang it, I wanted to take a picture. We have a classroom that's kind of set up for a mock, what it would look like when we come back to school, but every student will have a desk shield. We're arranging furniture so that kids are all facing the same direction at the same time. We're putting arrows and markers on the floor so that we promote one-way direction traffic for all of our students during passing periods. And then we have some new coverings going out outside so that classes could have an option to kind of spill outside. But that's all for when we return to campus. So right now, what we're doing is obviously our distance learning work, but just so you know, the safety plan that speaks to how we will return to campus safely can all be captured online, but it is governed by the OC attestation. For more on the safety, please visit losal.org. You can't miss it. The safety plan is put everywhere, so check it out. What to expect. So this is what you're going to expect starting August 31st for our distance learning for our students. We'll be using Schools PLP and Google Meet to host daily live interactions. So Schools PLP is our learning management system. That's where all of the grades, all of the content is stored. Think of it like Google Classroom, but it's Schools PLP, so it's consistent TK12. And all classes, all families, all students, all teachers will be accessing that platform. Schools PLP has some embedded curriculum, but not all of our teachers will be using it, but they will be taking their current content and curriculum that they design and putting it into Schools PLP and pushing it out through that platform so that it's not confusing and so that everything's kind of in one centralized place. Google Meet will replace Zoom as what we use for class interaction. That really just comes down to like Zoom was really generous for the first period of school closure, and now it's like $1 million to be able to get everybody the unlimited account. Google Meet has upgraded their features to include waiting rooms, breakout rooms, safety protocol. Your student will access Google Meet via their Go LoSal account, which has a Google single sign-on. So they'll be able to join their classes through their Go LoSal student email. And that way we can ensure that it is that kid, that it will help us with attendance purposes. It will prevent anybody from doing the Zoom bombing or putting a fake name up. I want to say it'll prevent it, like who knows, kids are really smart, but that's the safety measures are there so that it can be prevented to the greatest extent possible. As I said, 33 minutes of synchronous daily live instruction in core academic areas as well as electives. So there will be electives taking place over the course of the distance learning format. Those electives are the same ones that we would sign up for in class. Obviously, they're going to be different. So if you're a band kid or you're a choir kid or you're a drama kid, your experience is going to be a little bit different in distance learning. And I assure you our teachers are working really hard right now to make that meaningful and to figure out a way to make virtual learning happen when it comes to the arts and other electives. Classes like Spanish or visual art, those are a little bit easier to adapt to and to do online, but our performing arts are really having to get extra creative, but we hired them because they're creative, so I feel like that makes sense. In lieu of PE, our middle school will be introducing a wellness period, so it'll still be taught by PE teachers, but it's going to look at overall student wellness. So that's going to include some physical fitness. The state of California has waived the requirement for PE for the 2020-2021 school year. So there's not actually a requirement for PE instructional minutes at the middle school level. So instead, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using that time to talk about healthy eating, healthy lifestyle, being physically fit. We're going to look at social emotional wellness. And students will be split into 2 groups in their PE class. If you're not new to middle school, our PE classes run about 60 kids, 55 to 62 kids. And that's just too many to be on a Zoom call and to be effective with, or a Google Meet call. And so for your child's PE period, which will be on their schedule, they'll be split into an A group and a B group. The PE teachers will do that. You don't have to worry. And they'll go to PE. They'll log into their PE class 2 days a week. On the other 2 days, they will use that gap in their at-home schedule as a study hall. So they'll be able to catch up on other work. They'll be able to eat. They'll be able to go to the bathroom. They'll be able to help mom, Windex the mirrors. But there'll be a break on their study hall day where they don't have to log in. And that's simply so the wellness period is more meaningful. If you joined us over the spring, logging into those PE classes and having 55, 60 kids, it's just not practical. And so really making sure that we kind of dive deeper a little bit and meet the needs of our students and families. We want to make sure that we're building in that time for studying 2 days a week. And then on Fridays, every PE teacher will become like an advocate. So if a kid is struggling, I'm making this up, your kid is struggling in their math class and they have Mr. Lyons. Mr. Lyons might say, you know what, Ryan, I'm going to need you to log in on Friday with your PE teacher. They're going to provide you some support in making sure that you know what assignments are missing, what you still need to do in order to catch up and raise your grades. And so that will be how Friday is. So your child would be assigned to go into their PE class or their wellness period on Friday based on need. So plan on there being a break in your student's schedule around that PE period, probably at least 2, maybe 3 days a week. And on the other days, there being some intentionality around physical fitness, healthy living, social emotional health, character education, and those pieces. And that is only for the distance learning format, only during the time of online learning. When we return to campus, that's a different story, but only for the time of online learning. Homework is assigned outside of the day. And so homework is going to be interesting. As a staff, we've been meeting and talking, and we really value kids getting a break from the screen. And so we don't want you to finish your 4 hours of looking at the computer and then have to sit down for another couple hours of looking at the computer. And so homework's going to look a little bit different. It's going to be really intentional. It's going to reduce the time that kids are on screen. Maybe they're reading their core novel. Maybe they're filling something in pencil and paper. But trying to get that break from the screen, we want to make sure that kids aren't overly stressed and overwhelmed by this learning format. I put on here, tell your kid to go outside. So the Zoom day ends, the classroom day ends. We want you to get outside and to do something active for them to be able to ride their bike or do whatever kids do. Tests and quizzes are going to look a little bit different. Obviously, we can't ensure that the testing environment is secure, and we're not in the business of trying to make that happen. And so what we're going to do is tests and quizzes are going to look a little bit different. They'll either be worth less points or they'll require more thoughtful answers. So on a math test or quiz, a kid may be required to justify their answer or their explanation more than they normally would in class. And that's so we can kind of verify and do our best to assess their learning. But the pressure around tests and quizzes should feel a little bit different. And we're going to work toward that. I'm going to pause for a second because a couple of questions are coming in. Fridays for students who are on independent PE. If you're on independent PE, you're going to have that study hall period in your day, no matter what. And I tried really hard this morning to flip the screen in my background, and I can't. I mean, I'm sure that it exists somehow, but I couldn't do it. But I will be sharing this presentation out, so you'll have all of the slides if you struggle with reading backwards from Instagram, which I understand. Coming over to the Zoom really quick to check on questions. There aren't any. Do you guys have the ability to type in a question, or you just all feel really good about everything? I'm going to make sure that you're all allowed to chat. You're not allowed to chat? Okay, hold on. Pause, drink your coffee. It's coffee with the principal after all. There we go. Can somebody test the chat for me on Zoom? Give me a little hello. There we go. Thank you. All right. So if you had questions and you're like, I can't even write them down, that wasn't on purpose. All right. Additionally, what you can expect from your classes and from your child's middle school experience is empathy. I think that we're in a really difficult time in the life of students. and in the lives of adults. And so I want to make sure that we understand, you understand, that we understand that continuing to promote a culture of empathy, of social emotional learning, of character education, and of culturally responsive pedagogy is really going to be a priority for us moving forward. So just so you know that in addition to the academics, we're really looking at building up kids that are going to be good citizens and are going to contribute meaningfully to society. And we're not going to let that go just because we're in a distance learning format. Instead, what we're going to do is dive a little bit deeper with it and make sure that we're encouraging a positive school climate and a positive school culture where kids are learning to be good people, because I think that that is critical to their foundation. And I know that you join me in that want for your own children. And so just know that that isn't going out the window as we look at academics and building in rigorous distance learning academics, but instead we're going to lean on that as well and make sure that we're carving out that time to do some lessons and make sure that we're checking in on kids' mental health and their mental well-being and building up their character in a way that they can continue to contribute positively to the world around them. So that's not going out the window. We're going to make sure that we're able to work that in. I'm going to pause and see if I can take any questions real quick. I know the meeting is limited to 100, so that is a bummer. Instagram is wide open if more people want to jump on Instagram. If you're hearing from people that it's capped, I apologize. Are students signing on with their teachers for synchronous learning 5 days a week? Yes, they are. Is 33 minutes really enough for the teacher? We're going to find out. I think that what it is a typical class, they're going to spend about 3 minutes taking attendance and getting settled. And they're really going to have to let go of some things that would normally happen in a 45-minute class period. So classes are about 12 minutes shorter online. And we're going to cut out some of those things that are lost in transition, passing out papers, those types of things to make sure that we are able to meet the needs of kids in the 33 minutes we're given. ISP students will not have the wellness class if you're approved for independent study PE. Instead, you will take a study period during that part of the day. I will send out the links again. Digital ID, they'll all be able to scan it on their phones for us to be able to check everything out. They don't need a phone all day, but we would ask that you bring one to the material pickup day. I'll get to that. They can also print it. And we will get to all of these other questions shortly. All right. Okay. You know, I'm going to plug through the presentation a little bit because a lot of the questions are going to be addressed, and then we will get back to it, I promise. We do have a student code of conduct. It looks at 5 different areas that's been posted online. I'm just going to touch briefly on student workspace, student participation. It is going to be expected that students are on the computer or on the Chromebook or on the iPad with their screen and their camera on. That is part of the requirement for daily live interaction. I love middle schoolers because they are creative. And so camera off, I know that doesn't just mean that they're having a bad hair day. They can be doing all kinds of things when their camera's off. So camera on, visible on screen. It doesn't mean it has to be their whole face. We've had people talk about that. If it's like a partial view or whatever, but this is a professional learning environment. We want to make sure that students are there to learn and that they're participating fully in the best way that they can. We also have a lot of standards that we're going to be rolling out about digital citizenship and academic integrity. We know that being in a fully digital format opens up a world of possibilities where students might not be kind to each other online, and we will take each of those very seriously and address them as they come up. It also opens up a world of possibilities when it comes to academic integrity, issues of plagiarism, finding answers online, and we have different systems like Turnitin and other programs that help check for issues of plagiarism. And those are things that we are going to take seriously. So we just want to be sure that kids understand our priority around making sure that this is an academically rigorous environment for all kids. Material checkout and pickup. So here's what we need to do next week. I'm going to move the chat a little bit. Tuesday, August 25th is our 8th grade day. Wednesday, August 26th is our 7th grade day. And Thursday, August 27th is our 6th grade day. and we're holding August 28th as makeups. Students will arrive by last name, and it's split up so that the car line is never too long. We're gonna have a ton of administrators and teachers and maybe a couple of parent volunteers out there to help make sure that kids get their schedule, their books, and their devices. So we're gonna work really hard to get those out in that time frame that we're promoting. It's gonna look like this. I made this map, everybody, in case you'd like to ooh and ah quietly in your home. This over here, if I minimize the chat, is the Bloomfield parking lot, if you can orient yourself. North is pointing that way. The drivers will enter on the Bloomfield lot like you normally do for school drop-off, but you're gonna drive onto campus and across our basketball courts. And you're gonna turn in front of the outdoor classroom at the end of the basketball courts, and you're going to stop on the backside of what is our media center. At the first stop, your child will get their schedule and their Minder binder. Side note, if you have not donated for the Minder binder, no big deal. We would love your donation to help offset the cost of those Minder binders, but every kid gets a Minder binder no matter what. $10, you can do it online, cash, or check. So you stop, you get your schedule and your Minder binder. You're gonna pull forward. A volunteer will take your student's schedule and they will grab the books that your student needs and a Chromebook if your student needs a Chromebook. And then you'll proceed to stop 3, where our librarians and our media center technicians will check out those books and the device to you based on your student ID. That's why we need the digital student ID card so that you, oh, my phone's right here. So you can show your phone and get it scanned in order to have all that stuff issued to you. If you don't have that, that's okay. We're gonna look up your name or just having your 10-digit ID, or if you're an existing McAuliffe student, your ID from last year will also serve that same purpose, okay? So that is going to be our kind of our logistical plan for that. And then we're gonna get people, you know, you're gonna exit, oh, I should have drawn an exit arrow, outside of the Eagles Outpost so cars aren't, you know, there's no traffic jam, and we're gonna do our best to make it organized and fast and fun. A little bit, we'll play some music, and you know, Mrs. Vienna is loud, and so I'll anticipate that she'll be able to bring the fun for us. Web day and our new families. So if you're new to McAuliffe, traditionally we do a web day where everybody belongs, where students are welcomed onto campus in order to, you know, feel like a part of our community, and some student leaders are able to do fun activities with them. Sadly, we're not able to do that this year. So instead, we're going to be getting a phone call. Instead, what we're going to be doing is creating a video with a virtual tour from our ASB and leadership students to just welcome kids. You'll get to see a little intro from all of our 6th grade teachers for our 6th grade families so that they'll be able to get, you know, a little face-to-face interaction with you. And then I also want you to save the date. If you're new to McAuliffe, we are doing a parent ed night hosted via Google Meet. Don't ask me how it's gonna work, but it's gonna work on Monday, September 14th, 6 p.m. And so what we do at that night is essentially we have 10-minute breakout groups where you'll learn all about student clubs. You'll learn all about how to keep your kid organized as a new 6th grader. You'll learn all about school culture. And so that's just kind of like an opportunity for us, and it's not just me, it's a bunch of teachers, to have some interaction with you about different programs and offerings at McAuliffe. We do it once the school year starts, so that way if you have any existing questions that kind of have come up because school has started, obviously this year is really different, but you'll be able to ask those kind of with the knowledge instead of just the unknown. We think that that's a little bit more beneficial to the families overall. I think I'm going to pause for a second and see if I can address some of the questions. All right. You know what? There's so many questions. I'm sorry. I'm going to go through the rest of the presentation. And then I'm going to just take questions. That way, if you have something to do or you're at work or whatever, you'll know when the presentation is over that we're transitioning to the question and answer time. Otherwise, we'll be here all day. And I think my Zoom account caps out at an hour. So you're all getting kicked off soon. Checklist before you register. So I will add this to the presentation. This will be emailed out. I send a lot of emails. I know that's annoying. I apologize. There's no way around it. I mean, how else do we communicate? So be sure that you're checking your emails, but you want to make sure that you sign up for Parent Square. So Parent Square will replace our current student communication system. If you have kids at multiple schools in the district, That's one-stop shop for the different schools. There's a homepage. It kind of looks a little bit like a social media platform. So you'll be able to check everything on your child's Parent Square app. If you're using it for something else, you're familiar with this process. If you did not get the email yet, so the Parent Square emails should have gone out. If you did not get the email yet, go ahead and call our office. Mary will love that I'm putting that plug out there, and she'll direct you. We'll either help check your email on our Aries account, or we'll direct you to our help desk. High Five Student ID. Those emails got delayed, so I apologize. They were supposed to go out last week. You'll be getting an email from Pictures with Class by tomorrow. So by tomorrow, you'll get the link for your kid to click on the student ID, take their picture at home, and have a digital student ID card. We will be printing hard copies of the student ID so that when students return to campus, they get a physical copy of their ID. So don't worry, you'll definitely get a physical ID, but this is just gonna cut down on you having to get out of the car, stand for a picture, and also, like, let's be honest, kids really love selfies. So I think that that's gonna be a nice touch for them. Not all kids, but a lot of them. As I mentioned before, student minder binders are provided to every kid. We would love a $10 donation to help offset that cost. You do still need to do your Aries student data confirmation. Those directions are in the presentation that's posted on our homepage. But it just makes sure that we have all your kids' information correct. So you can just go to your Aries parent portal. I know there's so many portals, but Aries parent portal to make sure that your kid is all confirmed. You don't need to print anything. So in years past, you had to print the emergency card and bring it to registration. You do not need to print anything for the 2020 school registration. So please don't print that emergency card unless you want it, but we don't need it. And then review the student code of conduct with kids. Just make sure that they know what's going to be expected of them. This is scary, and we want to make sure that they have every opportunity to be successful. The complete packet is going to be available on our school website, McAuliffe.LaSalle.org. It's a slide deck just like this. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to make sure that any new information that was covered today is embedded into that presentation so that you only have one presentation to look at, so that you don't completely get information overloaded. School safety plan. So this is a little bit about the measures and what it's going to take to reopen safely on campus. And this is my best understanding of it. So I took this lingo from our discussion and part of the meetings that I've been a part of. But in order for our campus as a middle school or high school, secondary school to reopen safely, our county, Orange County, has to be removed from the governor's watch list, citing fewer than 100 per 100,000 residents of positive COVID cases for 14 consecutive days. We currently don't have any days, so don't worry. We're not on like day 6 and it's getting close. There have not been consecutive days as of yet, and that's just from my own learning and understanding. But until we have those 14 consecutive days, school will not open. When school reopens, if we do come off the watch list, students will enter in either a hybrid schedule or a traditional in-person block schedule. But let's cross that bridge when we get to it. We're not there yet, so I'm not going to dive into those schedules because I'm already confused and I helped write them. But when school opens, we will follow the guidelines and the specific safety enhancements as specified by the California Department of Public Health. So that means, like the OC attestation that I referenced earlier, that's our guiding document. So if that says that kids in grades 6 through 8 need to wear a mask, your kids in grades 6 through 8 will wear a mask. But if it says kids will be 6 feet apart where practicable, then we can't necessarily guarantee that your kid is going to be 6 feet apart. We can guarantee that they'll be in a class with kids wearing masks with a desk shield where kids are all facing the same direction. But those are the safety enhancements that we will employ in accordance with the California Department of Public Health. It's not perfect. I'm the first to admit it's not a perfect system, but we're absolutely going to do everything we can to make sure that school opens safely when we are able to open. I know there's lots of questions. I promise you we'll get to them. Oh, see, questions. All right, I'm gonna start with the Zoom questions and then come over to the Instagram questions. And I'm just gonna do the best that we can. So quick question on the digital ID. Will that mean kids will each need a phone or access to a device? Any device that has the digital ID, you could also print it on your home printer for those checkout days will work. So it doesn't have to be your phone. They can print it. To sign up for PLP, that information is going to come out from your kids' teachers once we get everybody in. Digital ID process, I believe that we addressed that. You're going to get the link. You're going to be able to do it completely at home from your phone, from your smartphone, from your computer with a webcam. I will send, please re-email registration for Parent Square. So I don't do the Parent Square email. That comes directly from the company. So if you didn't get a Parent Square email and you've checked your spam folder and it's not in there, go ahead and give our office a call. Mary will be waiting. There is often a lapse in Wi-Fi signal during last semester when a teacher uses the school Wi-Fi. Any changes? So we are encouraging and recommending that all of our teachers teach from campus because we believe that we have a better broadband and wireless infrastructure to support online learning, and we've done a lot of upgrades for that. Currently at this point, it's not completely clear whether or not every teacher will be coming to campus, and so I can't answer that yet, but certainly we understand that having wireless internet that supports home learning is critical, and we're making every effort to make sure that your child's online session is not interrupted, but just know that inevitably it will be a little bit. There seems to be a rush to return to the physical learning environment. Wouldn't it be prudent to keep distance learning for a set period of time, 2 to 3 months, to reduce this anxiety regarding rushing back to the classroom? I know this isn't a principal school decision, but curious if this type of conversation is happening. Well, yes, we've definitely talked about it. And so, yeah, I would love to be able to say, like, with certainty, you know, we're going to be in a distance learning format for the next 3 months. I just think that that's kind of easy. 2 things go into that. Number one, our community, when surveyed, did say kind of loud and clear, the vast majority, that they want their kids back on campus as soon as possible. So we're responsive to that. And number two, if we are removed from the Orange County if Orange County is removed from the governor's watch list, we have a finite amount of time to get our campuses reopened. Otherwise, we don't get to. And so let's say we come off on September 12th, but we've told families we're not going to go back until November 1st. Well, by November 1st, that option may not be available to us anymore. So we have to be responsive in the window that we're allotted from the state in order to get kids back on campus. So that's why it does feel very rushed and very, you know, chaotic. It's not a decision being made by our school board or by our superintendent. It's really done in accordance with the California Department of Ed guidelines and what's been set out by Governor Newsom's office. And so we're going to do the best that we can to get kids back on campus if we come off the watch list, because we don't want to miss that window. Because if then Orange County goes back on the watch list, we've missed our chance. The question has come up, and I don't know if it's in the chat. If we reopen school, we're off the watch list, we reopen school, and then Orange County goes back on the watch list, we do not have to close school again. So if we've made it in that window and we have the proper safety protocol and safety enhancements in place, which we do, we will be able to remain open unless we as a school hit a certain percentage of COVID cases. Whew. All right, is the student photo ID mandatory? No, we can check out books and devices to your kid based on their name or their student ID number. We're new to the district. What is a reminder binder? I love that question. It's this really cute little book. They used to be in this room, but it has a student planner and agenda. It has all of our student handbook. It's a day-to-day calendar where kids can write down their homework assignments. It's very nice. Helps kids stay organized. You can use last year's ID, absolutely. The web day video will be available on that Thursday. So part of when the kids go through and we're like trying to make it fun for them, the new 6th graders will get a folder, and in the folder will be a flyer with a QR code that you can scan either in the car or when you get home and watch the video welcoming you to McAuliffe. We wanted to make it part of the festivities, and then that will also be posted and shared. All right, do kids participate in the parent ed night? No, that's parents only. So on the parent ed night that I mentioned, it will just be for parents. We love emails, please continue. Well, you know what, Wendy, I will. What is the percentage of students taking online academy for the whole school year? So the percentage of kids from McAuliffe that are enrolled in Low Salad Home, which is our completely virtual learning platform for the entire school year, we have about 242 kids of our regularly enrolled 1,200 students. I should be able to do that math percentage. I used to teach math, but it's been a while. So 242 out of 1,200. If someone wants to do that fast math, that's the percentage of kids that are enrolled in online learning. It's about the same over at Oak, at our other middle school. So the online LaSalle at Home program will have about 500 middle schoolers in it. Donation for the Minder Binder. We will collect that in person, cash or check, or you can do it online. There's a link on the presentation that's posted on our website. I will be sure to send that out again so that everybody has that information. Just know that you can't use Google Chrome to access that platform. Don't ask me why, but you can. Who will be teaching the online academy? Are there teachers from McAuliffe Middle School? So LaSalle at Home is taught by Los Alamitos Unified teachers. It's not, there are some McAuliffe teachers there, there are some Oak teachers there, and there are some high school teachers there. And based on their credentialing, they will be assigned different courses. So it's not as clean as saying, you know, Mrs. Amundsen teaches 7th grade math at McAuliffe. She can teach 7th grade math for LaSalle at Home. Because as you can imagine with the puzzle and the enrollment and the personnel pieces, their schedule will look different than what it normally would be if they were here on campus. Brandy Amundsen is not a LaSalle at Home teacher. That was just an example. That staffing is still being finalized, and we don't know exactly which teachers will be doing LaSalle at Home. Yeah, I know, it's stressful. 20% students doing LaSalle at Home. Thank you for doing the math. LaSalle at Home is not still open. So we are no longer accepting or guaranteeing places in LaSalle at Home if you have not already signed up. Okay, there's a lot happening on Instagram, so I'm gonna try to address some of these questions and see where we get. 6th graders, you can do your student ID using the high five link that will come out. Pickup days email has been sent out. It's also on our website, so you can check that out. Pickup seems so organized. Sounds great. Positivity just makes me smile. Love how honest and realistic you are. You know what? I've got no other choice. There's only so much that we can do, and we're going to get through it together. So just let me know if you have questions. Keep the emails coming. Keep the communication coming. You got it. Pickup days is on the Google slide deck that is posted. Thank you. We're going to do the best we can to mitigate. Absolutely. Will McAuliffe have an IT contact for any tech issues and troubleshooting? So yes, we do have somebody on site that's going to help with tech issues and troubleshooting. If you specifically have a question about your own technology, there's not a lot that we can do remotely, but if it's about schools PLP, or it's about Parent Square, or it's about, you know, one of the things that we're promoting and pushing out, your first stop is the office. Call our school office and see if we can help you. If we can't, we'll either direct you to IT support, or we'll have you send an email to the technology help desk, which a lot of parents, if you've had an issue, I've directed you to technology help desk. We're all working together. As you can imagine, they're inundated as well. I think everyone's inundated. I tried to get a refrigerator, side note, a couple days ago. My wife and I were on hold for like, I think 2 hours. So just everyone's a little stretched too thin. So just know and be patient, but we are going to work what we can to make sure that we get it through. Some electives are not offered, only in LaSalle at Home. So currently we at McAuliffe do plan on offering all of our electives that kids signed up for in the spring. If that changes, you will hear directly from our school counselor or myself via email to let you know if something's been adjusted. It's just that your elective is going to look different. So if you're in Miss Wallace's show choir, well, show choir looks a little bit different over distance learning. And when it returns to campus, it's going to look even more different. And so we just ask that you be flexible with us as we work to make sure that that's still meaningful. When classes resume as hybrid, will there be before or after school care? Yes, there will be. Dr. Nguyen sent an email out. You can also get that information on losal.org, exactly with the information about, or with all of the information about how to do childcare through our Kids Corner. Are we allowed to use our normal student IDs for pickup? Yes, Brian White, absolutely. Use your regular one. Will teachers be covering missed material from last spring? Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That should have been a slide. So we made a lot of assurances last year, and we meant it, that the gap in student learning, we know that we have to account for that learning loss. And so our teachers are currently involved in that work, and they'll continue to do that work to articulate to the next grade level up, hey, I never got to, I'm making this up, adding and subtracting integers. So your students, as they start Math 7, are really going to need to spend some more time on adding and subtracting integers. I know that's not a Math 7 standard, but for example. So that communication is happening. What percentage would make the school close? I believe that it's 5% of a classroom, 5% of a school. Don't quote me on that. It's all in the reopening plan, I believe. So you can check that out or email me if it's not in there. Did the kids select their classes already? Not sure if I missed an email. No, schedules are not done yet. And so those schedules, you won't get it until your kid comes to pickup day, but they should have selected their electives. If you're a new kid, you got an email and an opportunity to do it online. If you are a returning kid, you did that virtually in the spring. And so all of that information should be out there. If we don't have an elective choice for your student, and you want to confirm that, you can go ahead and email me. What will beginning band look like in the distance learning format? I can't tell you specifically, but Mr. Fontaine is planning to do a lot of music theory, music discussion, studying different famous artists and composers, famous musicians. And then there are a couple cool programs out there that will allow for students to play and to record, and for somebody to come in and edit it and put it together. We did host a virtual choir concert last year called Larger Than Life, and I thought it was outstanding. And so if you participated in that, or you didn't get a chance to see it, we had a show choir, or a choir group of, I don't know how, let's say 50 kids, all put together this outstanding show under Miss Wallace's direction, edited by somebody else. So just know that there's possibilities out there, and it's going to be an awesome time for us to be creative. Will teachers be reviewing last year's material since there was a loss of learning? Yes, they will be. Can you please share how to donate for Minder Binder and PTA memberships? Both of those are going to be online. And so we're going to make sure that, those links are up, and they'll be in my Google slide deck, and they'll be on the website. I don't think that PTA is fully up yet to donate online. Minder Binders is. I'll make sure that you have it. Brian White, why don't you go ahead and email me, buddy? I have to pick up material for 2 different students with 2 different last names. I'm sorry. A and a G. Can I pick up both at the A time slot? Yes, you can. Do low salad home students participate on textbook pickup days? Yes, they do. So if you're a low salad home kid, but you're a McAuliffe, resident kid, you will still get your materials on our regular pickup days. Thank you, admin team. You got it. Sports, we're not there yet. So there's a whole different set of guidelines, as you can imagine, that have to do with sports and physical activity. We're currently not at a place where we can practice or do those outdoor physical activities. The high school is dealing with that a little bit differently. If you have a kid that plays high school sports, there's very specific guidelines about that. But for our middle school kiddos, we know that even if we return to campus, the physical outdoor activity is going to be limited, and it's going to be greatly impacted. So will my child automatically be placed in band and 0 period jazz? I believe so, yes. And so if you're somebody who is a band kid and you've auditioned and you've made the audition and that already took place, then you are automatically enrolled in that, absolutely. Tests and quizzes will be weighted differently. So I addressed that a little bit earlier, but I've said a lot, so no worries. But tests and quizzes, a test or a quiz that a kid takes at home is now going to, more than likely, at least in our math department, be weighted much lighter than it would if it was in class. And so instead of it being weighted, something that we've talked about is doing like a point system. So let's say a test on campus would be worth 100 points. That same test we might do for 50 points if it's taken at home. So we're going to change that to address it. Will there be student achievements like Student of the Month? I don't know yet. I think that's a great cultural piece. We did that in the spring of last year. I think it's fun and a good way to celebrate and make sure that kids feel successful. So yeah, we can work on that. Oh, my mom says hi. Hi, Mom. What will Friday look like for independent study PE students? Friday will look like any other day for independent study PE students. So they'll just have a study period in their schedule where PE would normally be. It'll be a break. Is school supply list linked on website? So we're not ready for school supply lists quite yet. Those are going to be coming directly from your kids' teachers. We might put it in the folder that the 6th graders get on their welcome day. Otherwise, it'll be emailed out within the first week of school. Supplies look a little bit different. Obviously, we're in a distance learning format. And so we're kind of making those adjustments and those tweaks right now to make sure that they're done well. When will the school supply list get sent out? There we go. Tackle that one. Are there other days to pick up materials if we'll be out of town all week? Yeah, so if you're gonna miss the whole week and you can't come on makeup day, let's aim for the first day of school. So online classes start at 8:40. Let's have you come in, I would say that 7:30 if you could that Monday, and we'll get you set up. We'll make sure that you get your stuff. Otherwise, we will be flexible and we'll figure out another time for you to get it, maybe after classes on that first day of school, but we can work something out. Plug for VAPA with COVID are incorporating STEM and the arts. Absolutely. Are there resources for parents that still have to work? We do have childcare options available. As I shared, those are going to be listed on losal.org. And that's the best we can do as far as childcare goes at this point. Other resources, feel free to email me and we can dialogue about what you might need. Thank you for the excellent communication. You're an awesome principal. That's nice. That's not even my mom that said it. How teachers are going to incorporate active learning techniques. So in a distance learning format, we're fortunate to be able to use breakout groups. That's kind of like the best thing that we can do. But a lot of our hands-on experiments and things like that, really we're not going to be able to do the same way that we have previously. So we're going to have to make some adjustments. Fortunately, in 2020, there's a ton of virtual and digital curriculum and content out there that we can help utilize to facilitate that type of learning. But it's not going to be the same, unfortunately, because our number one priority is making sure kids are safe. And so we're going to have to make sure that we're following those guidelines set forth by the California Department of Public Health to make sure kids are safe. And if inside of those safety procedures, we're able to do some hands-on learning, then absolutely. Will there be food pickup for breakfast and lunch? Yes, there will. That information I don't think has been sent out yet. When it is, I will include it in my presentation. But basically what's going to happen is on Monday, and McAuliffe is a drop-off site for food. On Monday, you'll get food for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then on Thursday, you'll get food for Thursday, Friday. And so there's only a couple days for pickup. As I shared, that information will all go out so that you know how to do it. How do you get such a good haircut during a pandemic? That's very nice. You know, my barber is still operating out of his garage. How many students in a virtual class per teacher in a 33-minute period? Our class sizes have stayed the same. So they're capped at about 34. We run our honors classes a little bit on the higher end because those kids tend to work more autonomously. And we run our college prep courses a little bit on the lower end, closer to 32, to ensure that everybody is kind of getting what they need. Coming over to Zoom. Here we are. Oh, we got the text for virtual IDs yesterday. So thank you for sharing that, Stephanie. So the virtual ID text it sounds like they're starting to go out. So check that out. Will there be a list of recommended supplies materials for the school year? We kind of talked about that. On material pickup day, will the schedules have the login info for each class? Julia fan, that is my ideal world. Absolutely. There's a possibility that those won't be ready, just to be completely honest with you. And if they're not ready, we're going to make sure that we email that out to families prior to class starting on Monday. So our goal for it to be on the schedule, yes, but it might not be. 12,000 students, that's not right. Thanks for all the information. This has been so helpful and de-stressing. You're welcome, Heather. I get an LOL. How are you handling class selection for incoming 6th graders, honors versus regular English and math? So we take the recommendations from the 5th grade teacher, as well as looking at some other factors to place kids in either honors or college prep courses. If you're a brand new family to the district, you were invited to take kind of a math placement test so that we would be able to do that. If you have any concerns about your child's placement, please feel free to email me, and myself and Mrs. Olmstead will work through that. Thank you, Dr. Wieswright. You're welcome, Mrs. Gregory. Distance learning for drama, similar thing. So drama is going to work really hard. Mrs. Armstrong, if you have her, has done a fantastic job making sure that drama was still meaningful and fun during the period of distance learning. So expect more great things from her. She's got a lot of stuff cooking. Signing up for Chromebook checkout. So you'll need to request that device ahead of time. So Amanda, if you're out there, you do need to request your Chromebook device ahead of time. There's a form that I emailed out, but it's also on the Google slide deck posted on our website. If you go to the McAuliffe registration, you can click down to device checkout, fill out the form so that we know that you need one. How are honors classes being handled? Students are still being placed in honors the same way that they were before, and they'll just kind of follow a more accelerated program with some more in-depth learning opportunities, just like they would be done on campus. If kids choose office aid for an elective, will they automatically move? Ooh, good question, Lauren Danino. So if they were an office aid, they are going to be placed in a different elective. Mrs. Olmstead and I are going to work to make sure that those kids get their next elective choice on their elective form. Can a teacher record their lectures so that parents can review what is taught? That's going to be tricky. So It puts a big burden on our teachers, not that they can't handle it, but to be teaching asynchronously, to have it recorded, to post, and to do that every day for every class is going to be a lot. However, there are going to be a lot of opportunities on a lot of videos. Let's say that you're in a math class with Mr. Lyons and he knows that students are really struggling around a specific content. He may choose to record a lesson or a mini lesson and send it out through school's PLP so that it can be watched over and over again at home, so that students can slow it down or speed it up or watch it again to get any content that they've missed. But no, it will not be automatic that teachers record all of their lessons. When school resumes, will the 8th grade honors Spanish class still take the class at the high school for 0 period? Yes, they will. If you're in a LoSal high school class, you will take that class at the high school. My middle schooler cuts my hair. She earns money that way. That's very nice, Carlos. I can't wait to see it. Thank you so much for your organization and detailed plans. You got it. We'll keep it up. Won't be helpful to have lunch until after 1. So our students don't eat until after 1 anyway. So that was a consideration. Our students on campus, the 6th graders go to lunch at 12:37, and our 7th and 8th graders go to lunch at 1:08 or something like that, 1:03. I don't know. We haven't been in school in a long time, but it's after 1. So lunch happening after 1 o'clock hour is very normal for our middle school day. I know we encourage kids to pack a snack or to have some food with them so that they're able to kind of, replenish during passing periods. Will SPED have the same schedule as Gen Ed students, or will those schedules be modified? A special education student that's enrolled in McAuliffe, not LoSal at home, will still follow the class periods just like the rest of the day. If your program has some specific requirements or changes, you will hear about that separately from your teacher or your case carrier. But for right now, plan on rotating through classes on the same timeline as the rest of the students. You're welcome so much for the info. Will the 6th graders get a tour before and when they go back to school? So if we're legally allowed to have kids on campus and we have time, I don't want to make any promises. My goal is to definitely bring on our 6th graders and our new students and do the fun stuff and be able to welcome them, give them a tour, have them do a scavenger hunt with a mask on, and just kind of make sure that they feel welcome and a part of our school community. That would be my goal. Sebastian, good question. Coming up here, well, hello to you, Trinity. When we return to campus, if my child has an issue wearing a mask for that length of time, can we switch to LoSal at home? So that's going to be space dependent. We're not entirely sure that we'll be able to accommodate families that want to switch between the two schools, because they're two different schools. But when it comes to masks and mask breaks, that's part of the reason why we have the desk shields. So if a child is working independently at their desk and not attending to direct instruction, but instead they're at their spot working independently, they may, and they're within the confines of their desk shield, they may be able to take off their mask, wear it around their chin while they work, but they'll have to put it on when they move outside of the desk shield. That's kind of what we're looking at right now. Where are we at? Thank you for the compliments and the positive feedback. If a child is sick and can't connect, how do they catch up with the missed lessons? We'll have to do that the same way we would do in person. So if your child's not able, we're taking attendance every day. So if a kid's not able to come to school, then we're gonna have to make up for that learning on another time. Thank you so much, everybody, for saying thank you and for the positivity. I am nearing the end of my live hour on both Instagram and Zoom. They're gonna kick me out. As I said, this will all be saved for you to reference. I will post it, I will share it. If you have questions, you know how to contact me and reach me. Just in closing, I really do want you to know that your kid having a safe, positive middle school experience, no matter what that looks like, is my top priority. And I'm going to make sure that that happens. And so reach out to me anytime. Want to make sure that you feel taken care of and make sure that your family's supported during this time. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and we will see you soon.